Well, hey, Congress is working to find hard evidence of alien life, and they're promising transparency to the public. So why was this week's House Oversight Committee hearing with NASA behind closed doors and shut off to the media? Well, several people on social media posed that very question. Congressman Tim Burchett says he was disappointed and suspicious of some of NASA's answers. Take a listen.
Everything is available from NASA. They have no secret stuff. And then we said, well, wait a minute. You mean, the satellites still? And they kept saying, no, everything's open, as far as they knew, as far as they knew.
Well, let's bring in Nick Pope, former UK Minister of Defense, working for the Ministry of Defense. Nick, you and I have talked about this before. We've touched on this before. The public is upset. The meeting was closed. Congressman Tim Burchett of Tennessee, who is leading the House Oversight Committee, is frustrated. Is NASA sending mixed messages?
They are, yes. I mean, I have a lot of sympathy for NASA on this. I think they're trying to do the right thing, but they've had a couple of missteps over the last few days. When they had their meeting to announce their report, they said they'd appointed a director of research, and then they refused to name him, and then they named him a few hours later because of the backlash. And then, of course, we had this session yesterday in the House Oversight Committee closed to the media and the public. Now, some sessions are closed, that's fine, but when your whole central point is about openness and transparency, yes, it absolutely sends mixed messages.
One of the things I think the problem is, you touched on this, is that either you are going to be clear and transparent from the beginning or say nothing at all. I think it's the back and forth that has so many people frustrated. NASA says it only deals with unclassified data so they can be transparent to the public. Does NASA likely have that data that they just don't want to make public?
Well, I think they do have some, and they certainly have access to it because they now are working quite closely with the Pentagon's ARROW unit, All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, who has the lead on this. But this runs the risk of a classic left-hand, right-hand situation that NASA say that they're looking for UAP, they're looking for the evidence, they want to look at the data, but they say they're only going to look at the unclassified data, where all the time the DoD and parts of the intelligence community already have classified data that could help NASA. So it's going to take some very careful management to integrate that.
And Nick, I'm glad you said that. I've got less than 30 seconds because we already know that some of the information is classified because they have some that is unclassified. How will that affect NASA as they move forward?
Well, I think it's going to be a challenge, but I do think they've got to up their game a little bit on this and be open and transparent, as they've said they'll be. And the Pentagon has to do the same.
Nick Pope, is there life out there?
Yes.
Nick Pope, thank you so much for joining us this morning.